Good morning. I'm Sarah Oates, and as Cindy said, I'm the Records and Licensing Supervisor, so I'm sure I have seen many of you and will continue to see many of you in the future. I'm going to take you through a flow chart of the application process, how you initiate it, and then what happens when it's deemed complete. So first, you're going to initiate your application online, and John is going to take you through that process here in a few minutes. Once you have initiated your application and entered in all of the information and are ready to begin your public notice, the online application system is going to produce some documents for you to help you with the public notice process. So there are three parts of the public notice process. The first part is you are going to print out 2 copies of your application. You're going to post one up at your proposed licensed premises for 10 days, and you're going to post another one up at a conspicuous location in the nearby area, like a post office or city hall or a grocery store bulletin board for 10 days. The second is the online application system is going to produce the verbiage that you'll need to bring to a local newspaper, and that's going to run in the newspaper once a week for 3 consecutive weeks. And the last form of public notice is to notify your local government. And this is in advance to actually submitting your complete application, and there's a reason for that I'll go over here later. So while your public notice process, we're going to take questions at the end. At the very end. So while your public notice process is going along, that 3 weeks for the newspaper and the 10 days for the posting, you'll want to simultaneously work on your supplemental documents. And there are a number of supplemental documents that you'll need to submit along with your online application, and I will go through those supplemental documents later. So while you're working on your supplemental documents and doing your public notice, you're also going to want to contact your local government. Because it's very likely that your local government is going to have additional requirements, whether it's their own licensing system or a conditional use permit. You're going to want to contact them and start working with them to get those requirements met as well. So once your advertising requirement is complete, then you're going to submit your supplemental documents and all of your affidavits to the board, to us, to AMCO. We are then going to enable you to make your payment, your license and application fees. And once those are made, then you're going to have one of our 4 business registration examiners review your application and your documents for completion. If one of our examiners deems that any of your forms are incomplete, they will contact you and say, this is what you need to do to complete your document, or you are missing this document or this item. Once you believe that you have completed the requirements that the examiner informs you of, then you will resubmit those documents, and they will again review those documents right away, and the process kind of goes through until your application is deemed 100% complete. So once it's deemed complete, 2 things are going to happen. The business registration examiner, the director through one of our examiners, is going to send a notification to your local government. Your local government will have 60 days to protest or to waive their right to protest your application. Now, we're also, at the same time, going to schedule your license application, going to put your license application on our next Marijuana Control Board meeting agenda. And we do that because of the delegation. We're going to use the delegation tool that Cindy briefly mentioned earlier, and that is, say our next board meeting is June 9th, for example, and you submit your application at the end of May, or mid-May, May 15th. Well, that's obviously not enough time for your local government to have their 60 days to determine if they want to protest your application. But we also have a 90-day requirement to put your application in front of the board for them to decide to approve or deny your license application. Many of you have followed the ABC board meetings and know in our ABC board statutes and our marijuana statutes that we're required to meet 4 times a year, once in each judicial district. Often the ABC board meets 5 times a year, twice in Anchorage, and we anticipate that the Marijuana Control Board will be doing the exact same. And as you know, 5 times a year is around 90 days, a little less than. So it's very important that we use this delegation tool. So say the local government has not had time to give their input, or if we send notice to the state fire marshal and we need to make sure that you have your building up to code and they haven't had time to weigh in, we put it on our delegated consent agenda and we say, hey board, here's this application. We think it looks complete, but this applicant still needs to work with the state fire marshal, get them their building review plans, and we're still waiting on that. So then the board will say, okay, well, it looks good. We're going to approve this with delegation. We're going to give delegated consent to the director so that once we receive all of the approvals that we need, then the director can go right ahead and schedule the initial inspection for you and get your license to you without having to bring it back in front of the board. So the only time that we would need to bring it back in front of the board is if we do end up receiving a protest from your local government. So now I'm going to have John go through the initial online application process with you.